As an American who woke up to the news of thousands of Americans murdered on 9/11, I'm not going to cheer on Al-Qaeda rebels. Yeah, that narrative didn't last long because now they're starting to call they are starting to call them MSM. Mainstream media is starting to call them Al-Qaeda or former Al-Qaeda, which is a step up from rebels or freedom fighters. So I wish CNN showed informative maps instead of hiding border lines and obfuscating occupation zones, calling Al-Qaeda rebels SDF Syrian people and shit like that. Syrian people stand with Damascus. Some do, plenty don't. We have to recognize that people are not a monolith, just like some people here stand with Biden, and some people stand with Harris, and some people stand with Trump, and yeah, some people just are not about any of those people, like me and probably you. So not monolithic, but yeah. Okay. NATO is a fascist club. They execute Hitler's plan, the Fourth Reich. Okay, that's okay. CIA and supported by the United Kingdom and some Arab intelligence services, especially Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Oh, and Saudi intelligence. Yep. Okay, yeah, see, I'm Syrian. Greg's take on the entire operation of HTS, including who HTS and what their motive is very off base, just like many Western pundits, Scott Ritter, George Galloway, Richard Medhurst. Okay, cool. Well, we will continue to discuss and expand knowledge bases and ideas. No one's getting canceled. This is a very complicated issue. And people are used to Israel-Palestine, guys. That's not a complicated conflict. That's an occupation. That's apartheid. And people will definitely say in Syria that, Assad's government is an occupation. These are not CIA talking points. Millions of people in Syria believe this. So, yeah, this is why this is a challenging thing to navigate. Specifically, I do try to stay in my lane and talk about it from a military perspective and a Western analytical perspective, which I think is completely off base sometimes, but it's how I was trained and it's something I'm very critical of. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, okay, Greg, where do you think these rebels were training for the past few years? I mean, doesn't gaining combined arms training require some type of safe zone? So in 2011, 12, actually no, it's 2013. I think I don't know about HTS, but Syrian National Army, like the guys backed by Turkey went over the border to train in Turkey. That is something PBS Frontline actually did a documentary where they followed rebel groups backed by Turkey, went over the border to train in Turkey, and then bring guns back over the border into northern Syria. Safe zones are nice, so you don't get bombed by Russian or Syrian air assets. So Turkey would make sense. Where else were they trained? Probably not Lebanon. So, yeah. Is Erdogan trying to annex Aleppo and Idlib unofficially? I mean, definitely wants to increase the buffer zone between Turkey's southern border and northern Syria. I don't know how we would get away with annexing sovereign territory in the modern era, but who knows? Okay, what percentage of the rebel forces do you think are disaffected Syrians who basically got a better job offer from the rebel leaders versus jihadists from abroad? Well, there's a lot of disaffected Sunni people in Syria, that are open to various groups that have a spectrum from being more radical to more moderate. There are also foreign fighters, but unfortunately, like we don't have like a census for that. We know there are foreign fighters. We know there are Syrians. I would assume that the bulk of these forces would actually be native Syrians. There are legitimate grievances against the government, and That's something we all have to recognize, I believe. However, what's the end game? What's the end goal? So that's something for y'all to decide. I was trying to do a non-didactic Syria episode where I'm not trying to tell you what to think. Maybe I succeeded, maybe I didn't.